Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Tuesday, the 24th. I don't know that I'll be recording on Friday. I am taking off today. I've got to, basically, I'm speaking out to a bunch of investors. They're going deep into the jungle in Mexico. So I don't know what to expect. And what's happened in the world of, kind of goofy travel that I do when I disappear into some place I have no idea what to expect turned out to be way better than I could have expected. So I try and keep my expectations very low. Anymore, it's kind of like going to the movies. Expectations could be pretty high for something because how awesome the trailer is, then it sucks. And then you're like disappointed with the time you spent and the money you spent for something like that. So what I do is I keep my expectations very low that everything's going to suck and everything's actually really, really good. Life has been very good when I kept my expectations low. Now I certainly have certain expectations for certain things, like expectations on how we're going to perform as a team, expectations on how we're going to get things done as a business, expectations on how each member of my team does things, expectations for myself and how I develop things within the business to make sure that you, our client business partner, if you will, gets the best you possibly can from us. So that's where certain expectations lie. When it comes to experiences, I keep my expectations pretty low with experiences, and things work out really, really awesome. I don't know if that's the best way to go about things. That's just how I do it. So what I want to chat about today was a couple different things. First off, everybody just keeps talking a lot about the housing and what's going on with real estate. Is there a bubble? And I just came back from an event in Texas where I talked about how I was at the Texan court. And that's where a bunch of entrepreneurs were getting together and talk about how we're servicing a certain group with their investments. And there's a lot of speculation about what's going on with the real estate. There was also a lot of conversation about how things have gone with the long-term holds, and that maybe it's not the best investment like it used to be. It's because it's being sold incorrectly for the longest time. People keep talking about cash on cash return incorrectly, in my opinion. Well, it's not even my opinion. I mean, it's the fact. They kept, everybody kept talking about cash on cash return, and that's what they focused on so much that when those cash on cash return metrics dropped, when your returns dropped according to the numbers they gave you in those metrics, then it looked like it's not a good deal anymore. These last few years, 10 years, with what has done with quantitative easing, keeping those rates artificially low, gave us something that we never would have had before and never would have had it never happened. We wouldn't have known the difference. Real estate investing long-term is still just as good as it always has been. It's exactly what we need it to be, always what it's supposed to be with respect to finding the right deal, being able to raise rents, be able to keep it rented for as long as the entire time you own it, picking the right property. Financing long-term will always benefit regardless of the rate because of what inflation is doing. Also because you can raise those rents and compound that over time. It's not what happens the first year. It's never about what happens the first two to 3 years. It's about what happens over the long haul. If you're unsure about that, let's talk. Let me show you where this is still one of the most amazing places to put capital, especially if you want to build long-term wealth. So we went over that kind of stuff. The other things we talked about was housing inventory. Now, data I've recently recovered through other sources, 68% of contracts in new builds are falling apart during the escrow process, during that construction. Previous year, it was 13%. We're seeing massive amount of problems out there as far as people sticking with these contracts. Builders also can't get their hands on the materials the way they used to. They're holding lots a lot longer. There's all these things that are playing into this thing. So we are going to be that 5 million units short and probably growing. So I think we're going to have an increase in need based upon what's happening out there with the decrease in construction. So that all being said, I think that we're pretty safe waters, in my opinion. Again, you guys got to come up with this for yourself. You got to decide for yourself. You're the CEO of your own business. Pretty safe waters when it comes to buying into real estate and holding that for long term. Even if you're not getting those crazy cash on cash returns those first few months, it takes care of itself in the first 3 to 5 years, guys. Don't get caught up in what that first year, 2, 3 looks like. Let's talk about it more. Now, one of the other things that we have talked about recently was Fannie and Freddie bumping up their fees, especially for the cash out guys. A couple things that I thought, okay, one, they're trying to curb inflation by giving people less capital to go piss away, right? So there's that. The other thing of it is, we dig deeper into this. My boy Patrick McCarroll over here at Security National, he's given us some deep data on this. And if you get back into the when the government had put Fannie and Freddie under conservatorship and started working that angle, you start seeing that they started finding places that they could start tapping into that. And, with them recently passing all these crazy bills, the infrastructure bill and all this crap, they're throwing money to the freaking wind. Dig into those bills, see how stupid all this stuff is. they found ways to fund us, and it's not just our tax dollars. They're also taking it from the people that have, the people who who spend money, the people who have earned money, people who are trying to grow their money. You're trying to borrow and develop and build your business. They're adding fee on top of it. These guarantee fees for Fannie and Freddie. What is the guarantee fee? Well, if something happens, you don't make the payments, they got to pay back whoever loaned the money. It's not their money; it's being lent. It's Wall Street capital. Well, well, you think back on the last however long, right? Since quantitative easing, it was printed money being shoved in to the bonds, being lent out to us. And if there's a failure to pay it, they collect all these guarantee fees, and Fannie's going to pay that. So in reality, it's this big circle kind of. Well, it's also supposed to be there for anybody who invests in it, whether investment pools or people's retirement accounts. Well, what we had found is that all that guarantee fee that was being collected, they could keep adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. Now they keep pumping it up to the point that they're now collecting stupid amounts of capital. So how much is stupid amounts of capital? 292. There was the FHFA, the Federal Housing Finance Administration, in their financial conditions report to Congress had reported what they had received in guarantee fee. To 2019, $955 billion in total guarantee fee revenue. 2020, $2.389 trillion in guarantee fee revenue. And 2021 was $2.522 trillion. That's a crazy amount. You know, the U.S. collects around $4.6 trillion in federal tax revenue. That's literally increasing the federal their total revenue by 55%-ish, 55 to 60%. That's crazy. So when you think about that, of course they're going to keep those things in conservatorship. They're not going to give up Fannie and Freddie. They're cash cows. So they're now manipulating any way they can to get more capital to throw away on stupid crap. And that stupid crap that we think is stupid, again, Aaron Chapman opinion, it's not stupid on their side because somebody's getting greased. These people with $100,000 a year salaries aren't leaving their post at Congress and Senate with millions and millions of dollars because they learned how to save. That is not the case. So I'm gonna get off that damn soapbox and let's talk about the markets right now so we can see where we sit as far as rates are concerned. So we are still sitting in our channel, of course. That channel is still trading as we'd seen it. We did come below one of our moving averages here. That's kind of one of our short-term moving averages, so it's not really hurting us that bad, but we are staying within that channel, which is good. We want to stay there, so we're off that. Stochastics are showing that we're going into we got into an overbought position. We're probably moving into an oversold position. We may end up back down in here before it turns back around. You see how quickly that turned around? It wasn't real long, but a few trading days and it flipped back around. So that's one of those interesting situations that we've got to keep an eye on. Lock when we're at the top of the channel, if we can grab it, right? And right now we want to be cautious. If we get below any of these moving averages, they could act as ceilings and make it harder for us to get a little bit higher on these rates. So we want to be cautious of not, at least probably locking well in advance of anything that pushes below these channels. But it looks like these days are staying positive. They're starting low and they're buying back in. My mind's telling me that the traders, when it comes in low, they're seeing that these are buy opportunities. They're getting in there because it's starting in these lower price points. But it looks like we're getting sandwiched in here. I'm going to try and zoom into this between these moving averages right now. So we've got that kind of affecting us a little bit. So when you've got that going on, I don't know how long that's going to go, if it's going to push us very far. So you got the 14-day right here moving average. It's the short-term one where it's acting as a ceiling, and you see it's bounced off, but we actually came off of that as a floor. Hit as a ceiling, hit as a ceiling again, right? And then we're using what looks like the 35-day moving average and what could very well be the 100-day moving average as other averages here to bounce off of. So actually the 35 and the 50, sorry, 35 and the 50 we're bouncing off of here. So we could be getting squeezed there. Hopefully it squeezes to the upside and comes back up. If not, we're going to go back down. We're going to be testing this lower Fibonacci level, which it's going to push us and get us squeezed in here. If you want more data on this and want to know more about these things, scroll down. You're going to see just below the links, or in the actual screen itself in YouTube, there's a link there. You can go and I'll explain all this stuff to you a little bit greater depth. It's not perfect, but at least it's a better explanation, so you're not wondering what I'm talking about here so much as I'm talking about it. So I don't know that I can record on Friday. If I can, I'll get something out to you guys from the jungle. If I can't, just know I appreciate you guys. Go to the website, aaron.chapman.com, scroll down, look at the donate section. We can never stop doing that, right? If anything, I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Appreciate you. Have a great weekend if I don't see you before then.